All right, so I'm going to talk today about mobiles, but I'm also going to talk a little bit about why I think you're all here, is you kind of want to change the world, you want to make a difference. I want to talk a little bit about my experience in trying to do so. So we've come a long way in 25 years. Right. You should actually look this guy up on the internet. It's pretty awesome. He has always photos of him with his phone and little slow. Anyway, but he did a good thing for us. So now there's about 90% of where people live in the world, not 90% of all people, have access to a cell phone signal. There's over 5 billion phones now in the world. It's kind of sensationalist, but there's articles now saying there's more cell phones now than toilets out there. Okay. But it's a really powerful thing that means basically everybody in the world is connected. And how did this happen? It's really not a technology thing, actually, that allowed it to happen. It's actually financing. So in America, unfortunately, we have to buy our cell phones. We have to pay AT&T, Verizon. There's only going to be 2 of them soon. It's kind of scary. About $60 a month just to be able to make phone calls. The rest of the world needs prepaid credit, so you can actually make a phone call with a couple cents, and more importantly, you actually don't have to have any money on your phone to receive calls. This is allowed for paying of cell phone networks, phone call by phone call. It's the idea that you can roll these out incrementally, which is really important. You can't do that with roads. And the other kind of driving force are the phones themselves. Okay, so have you ever seen the Nokia on the left? It's probably the best phone ever. It has a flashlight, and it's like $15. It's like completely indestructible. Okay? Now the one on the left, I think, is the second most important phone that's hit Africa now. It just came out in Kenya. It's an Android phone. I'd argue with Lila that it's actually, this is the sewing machine of the future. We can debate that. But what's really amazing about this is, it's really going to allow people full internet connectivity, full access to the world's information in a really nice way. I mean, I never personally ever did anything on my phone except make phone calls, maybe text, before the iPhone came out. Okay? And I would say most Americans would probably say that, because trying to use the phone for anything else was just not a pleasurable experience. But now, I would argue most of us probably use our iPhone or Android phone more than our computer for actually checking on the status of our Twitter or Facebook area. The third thing is demand. It's kind of hard to see, but this is in Mali, there's a car battery there, and there's a whole bunch of cell phones. Okay? So one of the challenges to rural connectivity is powering the devices you want to use. Cell phones hold a long charge, and you can see that once there's a cell phone signal, people will do whatever they can to have access to connectivity, to be connected. So one of the things, this is kind of a quote that always moves me, is nobody hears the poor, it's a red truth being heard. And I think cell phones, this is something that's mobile phones say, no, that's not true anymore. Okay? I can pick up my phone and call anybody in Africa right now. And through them, it means something to me, but it really means something to them, because they have a phone number, they have a way of being reached, and a way they have an identity. I mean, it's kind of a powerful thing to think about. So what does that mean? One of the things is it just makes the world a smaller place. And in many places in Africa, it means you don't have to drive over roads like this. Okay? So it really empowers people. There's a lot of cultures, a lot of places where I work, where if you're a young woman and you get married, you get shipped off to another village. It might be hours away. Traditionally, what that means is you're not going to have a way of talking to your mother or your sisters anymore. A cell phone allows that now. So just that's powerful. If the relationship's not working out with your husband, you can call home for help and they'll come get you. Okay? That didn't happen before. Another thing is just for the power of human engineering. So farmers who work really, really hard can now make a phone call to somebody they trust in a neighboring town and find out the market price of the good. So they can make sure when they sell their products, they're getting all the energy they put into that earth. Another thing is just safety. If you're a mother, you have a means of calling for help. And the kind of the Arab revolution that's happening now is also showing us that the world's a small place. If you're people in plight, your story is going to be heard in other places, and that's going to be a powerful thing too. The reason why China is trying so hard to clamp down on the news right now is they do not want people to see what's going on in the Middle East. But with mobile phones, Twitter, Facebook, social media is making it almost impossible to stop that. So ultimately, if we're just talking about phones, mobile phones empower people, which in turn allows them to empower themselves. Okay? It's just the technology, you give it to them, it's the right tool, it helps serve so many needs. So that's one thing. What I'm going to talk more about today is what do we do next, how do we create services that can use mobile phones? And that's where it gets a lot trickier. So, but let's first talk a little bit more about mobile potential. So here's a chart of kind of basic access to health services around the world. So attended deliveries, which means giving birth in a clinic, full immunization, clinical treatment of diarrhea, and also fever treatment. So fever treatment's treatment for malaria. This is cell phone coverage in Africa, 48%, Southeast Asia, 55%, and Latin America, 87%. Okay? So I've in no way implying that a cell phone can cure malaria, cure diarrhea, or do anything like that. But at least it shows you that we can get a cell phone into people's hands. If that phone can do something to improve health, then there's some potential there to look at in leveraging cell phones. Now, in terms of service delivery, this is kind of the area. I like to say service delivery, not data collection. That's kind of the first thing we think of when we talk about phones now. One of the things is just making information visible. So we're working with the National Rural Health Mission in India, and we went to visit their clinics, and these are the official numbers that Karnataka is one of the states in southern India is reporting. Okay, so things look really great. If you go to an individual audit, these are the numbers you really get. Okay, so it's really hard to see, but basically all the numbers are drastically lower than what's being reported. So we're going to try and look at how do we use cell phones to improve these processes. Another kind of thing is improving kind of like information flow. But technology has positive side effects and negative side effects whenever you do anything, okay? So one of the things we've done is we set up a system in Uganda where we allow clinics to send via text message their weekly like disease reports, malaria stocks, things like that. And what traditionally happens is you have to go from the clinic to the sub-district to the district to the Ministry of Health. By introducing technology, what we actually do is we jump over all those people in the middle. So the district people that traditionally would check the data no longer have access to it. Okay? So we skip that process. But we do speed things up, so there's something positive there. But we're also causing problems because